Hey there everyone, it's me, Big Jim. I thought I would do this video to accompany my previous speedrun video that I just uploaded yesterday, I guess it was now. Um, there's a lot of stuff going on in that speedrun, and unless you've speedrun the game yourself, or maybe you haven't even played the game, a lot of it's going to seem confusing, or maybe you think, oh, well, this is no big deal, you're just running in a straight line. But there's actually a lot more going on that you can't really tell just from the recording, so I thought I would make this video and I decided to do it in the editor, which is where we are now, as opposed to doing it just a commentary track over my speedrun video. And this lets us see a lot of cool things like triggers, which is like this blue rectangle-ish prism you see here, and also these gray walls around, which are invisible walls that you normally can't see in the game. So I think, and this also gives me a cool free camera that I can show off things. So I decided this would be the best way to do it, and I figured we would start off here on the first map, Summer in Cairo, as it's called in the game, or in the editor, Cairo Square. I guess I should mention, if you buy this game on Steam, it does come with the editor, and the editor is very, very good because it comes with all the levels from the single-player game, so you can open it up and check things out, and that really helped me with my routing and stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. On each level, I think I'm going to show basically in sections, which is how you would normally play the level and how the actual routing for it went and how the eventual route ended up. So for this first section, you start off in this little shed facing this way, and in the cutscene before the game starts, Sam is dropped from a helicopter through this roof, and so when you start the game, it's just a black screen and Sam slowly stands up and it fades out from black, and then he walks out of this room after about 5 or 6 seconds, and you come around this corner, and this Gnar, I don't know how you're not supposed to pronounce it, is Gnaar, pops up over this railing, and then you take him out. You come around this corner here, inside this building, you grab this sledgehammer, and at this point the credits start to play, which sadly in the speedrun you don't get to see. And also some radio chatter as you head down through this building. And eventually you go down and around through this building quite a bit, and you come out, let's see, somewhere, I haven't actually played this in quite a while, right here. And then you exit out through this alleyway over here. Now, in the speedrun, you'll notice that I start out in here, the first cutscene plays a white screen. I'm clicking through that to skip cutscenes, by the way. You just use the attack button. And then the black comes up, which means the actual game started. And I'm still mashing attack at this point to skip through the wake up animation, basically. You can hold forward at that point while clicking, and Sam will start moving forward even though the screen's still black, and you can hear his footsteps, and you want to start holding shift at that point to run, and you slowly turn your mouse like this, and then you just start basically running in a sort of parabola against this wall like this way. That's usually the angle you end up at. And around here the screen clears and this Gnar's right here, and he punches you against the wall, which doesn't happen sometimes, but it doesn't slow you down really at all, so it doesn't really bother me. At this point I start running straight here, and then sort of strafe a little bit and hop up onto this railing, and then strafe really a lot to hop over to here. And I grab this hidden sledgehammer over here that's a secret, and the reason I do that is because if you go inside this building, there's a sort of like slow down area. There's this thing this game does where when you go inside some buildings, your running speed actually drops. And so you go in here and you grab this hammer, you go out, and you're moving so slowly through here, and then you have to come back around this way and to get out over there. So that's actually a lot slower than just jumping over here, grabbing the sledgehammer. You spin around here, run back down these two buildings, and then run off here. Now one thing I should note is that as soon as I pick up the sledgehammer, I hit 1 on my keyboard, which switches to the sledgehammer. But since I'm running, you can't actually switch weapons. But it sort of buffers it so that the moment you stop running, it'll automatically switch over. So while I'm falling and about halfway through, I let go of shift, and it will switch over to the hammer. And then as soon as I hit the ground, I start holding shift again and running this way. And throughout my run, I have a few points where I check my time, because there's a nice on-screen timer that'll tell you how far along you are. And at this point, it's usually good if I'm around, let's say 13 seconds, I guess, somewhere around right here. Basically, if I'm at like 13 and a half at this point, that's still fine. That means I'm on track for a 1:37 total time, which is the fastest I've ever been able to get with this route. So that's usually what I'm looking for. So again, normally if you're just playing this game, you'd come out through here, you'd walk around this corner, maybe kill that Gnar, you'd come around through here, through this alleyway, and there's a Gnar right on the other side of this wall. This is a breakable wall, And there's a few of these in the game, and what they have is basically 2 hits. They have the solid full wall, and then once they get hit once with either a gnar hit, I think these are the only 2 things that'll hurt it. One of them hitting it, or your sledgehammer. And once it's hit once, it'll have like a sort of broken animation, and then when it's hit again, it'll crumble and you can walk through it. So normally you have to wait for this gnar, or you usually would wait for the gnar to hit the wall twice, and then you kill it and you move on into this next area. Now what I do in the speedrun is, since I had grabbed that sledgehammer, and this is why I grabbed the sledgehammer, by the way, instead of just jumping off here, down to here, and then out, which would be faster. As I run around this corner ignoring this gnar, I run around here, and I start clicking, since the sledgehammer has a really long wind-up time. Unless there's enemies around, in which case you attack almost immediately, but if there's none, your melee attack takes like a good second and a half to 2 seconds to swing. So you click right around here, and by the time you get over to this wall, the gnar will have hit it once, and then you hit it, your sledgehammer swings down and breaks it. And if you stand close enough to the wall, you can actually just take out the gnar and just move straight forward. Now what I just noticed was the sledgehammer here, and I'm not sure, I think this might actually be in the game, in which case I wasted a ton of time going over there and getting that in my route. But no matter, that's basically like a 10-second loss. Or let me think, that's a... yeah, I'd say it's about 10 seconds. So take note, anyone who wants to run this game, if this sledgehammer is actually here in the game, you can just pick that up and then break this wall, and you'll save a good 9 to 10 seconds over me. Hint hint, somebody do this. Please beat my time. Because this really, my run wasn't very good, to be perfectly honest. There was a lot of like little mistakes that someone could easily correct and take another, half a minute off my time or more. But in any case, you break through this wall, and normally, and I should mention one thing, this is one of the cases where the invisible walls really matters. You might be able to get over this wall somehow, but they make these big invisible barriers so that you have to go around through this alleyway and you can't skip over into this area, so you have to go around like this. And normally you would fight along here, there's some gnars that show up, you go around through this area, around back through there, and around out through here, and into this area, then forward. But what I do is I run straight here, around the side of this, around the side of this car, run along here, and then I sort of get my angle right about this way once I'm about here, and I jump somewhere around right here. It's sort of just instinctual. I don't know exactly. I don't have like a visual cue or anything. And you want to land just somewhere up here, and then you're mashing space to jump at this point, and you jump on top of this little gate, and then you're sort of turning, and you're jumping again, and you jump over these walls, and then you just run straight here. And the next timer cue is right here. If you're at about 30 seconds, that's somewhere in this part right here, then that means you're on track for still basically the fastest possible time you could get with my old route. But as I just pointed out, there's that sledgehammer, so you could probably take another 10 seconds off and get a 127 as opposed to my 137. So take note of that, I guess. You run along here, around this corner, avoid this little car that's sticking out here, and around this point you hit this trigger here. And what that does is spawns in this warship, which destroys this building. There's a big cinematic thing. But what you're going to do is you're going to keep running, and you're going to run around this corner. And around right here, the camera angle will switch, and it'll make you look up over this way. And that's when you click once to start your hammer swinging animation, and you keep moving over to here. And then as soon as it releases your camera, you swing around really fast, and your hammer swings down and breaks the wall once. And at this point, you want to hold Shift and W to run forward against the wall and click again. That way, as soon as your hammer comes down and you break the wall, you're actually running into this part and into the next area. As opposed to normally you would have to fight a big fight here with a whole bunch of things spawning in, and a gnar would eventually spawn here and break the wall for you. But in any case, there's some more stuff here. You basically just run around this corner, pick up the gun here that's on the ground. I don't know if you can see it. There it is. And you just keep running straight through here. You would normally do a whole bunch of fighting and stuff, but this is a speed run, so you don't do any of that. There's a kamikaze that runs at you somewhere around right here. You just sort of strafe around him. I'm just getting a little bit of lag here in my editor. No matter. By the way, I guess I should mention you can run into kamikazes, and normally it doesn't slow you down at all, unless they don't explode right away. like say if something shoots them, like sometimes friendly fire will happen and they'll take a little bit of damage and they'll actually do like a flinch animation. And while they're in that animation, they won't explode even if you run into them, so that can sometimes slow you down. But basically you want to just sort of strafe jump over this barrier and then run through here. You're just gonna, at this point you're just running straight, and your time should already be set in stone. Basically whatever you've done up to this point will lead to whatever time you have once you get to the end. You just run straight along here and through this little fence right here. Your camera will switch forcibly to face the helicopter, so you're going to want to sort of like strafe and move forward until it switches back, and then you just want to run straight over here towards the museum. And of course normally there's a huge fight here fighting a whole bunch of stuff, and you just run past it all. Some Gnars spawn here, sometimes they get in the way, so you might want to try to sledgehammer past them. You just run around through this little corridor. Let's try to get above all these triggers and stuff. And then you basically just make a straight dash towards this corner of the museum. And then around this corner, and then straight over here. And then there's the exit trigger. This is the actual end of the level. As long as you get inside that trigger zone right there, that means that the level ends, so that's the ultimate goal. And like I said, the fastest way I've been able to do it was 137 using that route I just showed, but again, you know, how embarrassing, I found that sledgehammer just now that I missed. So there's a good chance you or someone else could do this a lot faster than I did. So yeah, that's it for the first level. I'm going to go ahead and load up the second level, and I will talk to you again then. Okay, so here we are again. We are on now the second level, Into the Spider's Nest, as it's called in the game, or in the editor. This is, let's see here, Cairo Museum. Now, the reason I didn't start in the actual starting area and I started up here is because it's really, really black. Normally you'd have your flashlight on in this area and you could see things, so there's no pre-rendered lights in the editor. I don't know, I'm sure there's some way to render the light down there properly in the editor and show it off, but for now I'm just gonna stay up here and just tell you basically what you have to do. When I start this level, I'm holding right strafe, because when you start out the level you're facing perpendicular to where you need to be going, and it's completely black because your flashlight's off, and it's just as black as you see it in the editor here, so you can't see, you know, anything at all. And it takes Sam a little while to turn on his flashlight, but if you start holding right strafe, you're lined up so perfectly with this little staircase you have to go up that by the time Sam turns on his flashlight, you've already climbed up it and you really haven't lost any time. Obviously running towards the destination would be slightly faster, but it's such a tight, narrow fit that you'll never get the right mouse angle unless you're like really, really good. And like I said, it's only like a half a second or a quarter of a second that you lose, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, then you basically run forward, turn right, basically just run in a straight line until you get here up these stairs. And then you pick up this armor just sort of coincidentally, it doesn't really matter. And this is where the two different routes I've had for this level sort of diverge. I'm going to go ahead and show off, I guess, what you would normally think of doing when speedrunning this game, and then what I eventually found out I could do, and you will see in the speedrun video. Normally, I would come out through here, go through here, go along this way, all the way down here to the end of the hall, through here, through this next room, out through here, and this is all basically the same route you follow normally in the game. Run through here, run up these stairs, run out through this hallway, run along this upper floor to this door, run through here, sort of cut across here, through here, cut across here, to this. And right behind this cabinet is a switch that you have to hit to open up a secret door that we go through later in the run. So now, instead, what I eventually realized was, I was like, man, that's a really long roundabout way, because you have to go from here all the way to there, all the way back up, and then all the way back over to here again. So I was like, man, that's such a waste of time, you know? Is there some way I can just make a straight line there? So I looked around this room, it's like, oh, can I just randomly climb up the geometry? No. Can I climb up this, that? Is there some clip I could do? And I was just ramming myself into everything. And I saw this, and this looked really tempting. There's this statue here. And I guess one thing I should show that isn't shown right now is I can change the rendering options for the editor. And I'll turn on, let me see if I can find it, my collision meshes. That'll slow it down a little bit and doesn't show much. collision primitives. Let's see if I can find it. Collision grid? No, I guess not. I thought I had seen this before, but I don't see it here now. Basically, there's a way to climb up this statue that's not very easy. You have to do something that isn't very straightforward. What you have to do is, when you come out through here, normally you would come through this detector here, cut, make a sharp turn. And one thing I'll notice that doesn't make much sense in the video is I sort of stop and shoot once. And what that does is it triggers some enemies to basically hatch from these eggs. And normally there's a camera force look at around this point that makes you look up sort of over here for a few seconds, and it slows down your running speed. So by shooting there, it skips that for one reason or another, and saves, like, I don't know, 3/4 of a second. So what I do is I jump onto this, and then I jump up onto here, and then I'm onto this part. But to actually get up onto these shoulders, you have to abuse a mechanic in this game that is based partially on your frame rate, which makes recording a real hassle and one of the biggest issues I had early on. Basically what you want to do is, normally you would just face the statue straight on like this, and this is the most consistent way I found to do it after a lot of setups. You want to get right in this crook and you'll face sort of like straight this way. You just want to jump, and it'll pop you up to about like right here. Then you want to jump forward and sort of move and strafe left, and you'll just strafe right up the side of it and onto its head. Then you can just jump up onto here. And then you still have to run all the way around this hallway and around this edge over here. All the way around, and then around, right here you switch to your sledgehammer because you want to bash this cabinet up ahead. So that you don't lose time, you can just stop running right as you jump over this banister, or this guardrail, or whatever you want to call it. And it'll switch to your hammer without basically losing any time at all. You just keep running down here, through this, cut this corner, run along here. And then here we are at the cabinet again, and we saved about 10 seconds by doing this route. And you want to jump somewhere along here, across this. And depending on how far you are along this, you have to choose, basically when to start swinging your hammer, so that as soon as you get to this cabinet, you'll bring it down and it'll crash. And you destroy this, and then there's the switch right here that you press, which is really finicky. Pressing switches in this game is a real challenge in itself. Your crosshair has to be directly on it, and if you have the hammer out, you don't have a crosshair, so it's kind of hard to tell where the center of your screen is. But you can actually press switches from like this far away. So you basically just mash E around this point and try to hit the switch, and then as soon as you do, you run back this way, back across here, and back the same route you came in, basically. Across here, you can skip some little bit of distance on these corners. Back across this way, run all the way down this hallway. And what that switch actually unlocked is this door right here. This slides up, basically. And you can crouch underneath it and run into this next room. You come through here, you jump down across this one into this next room, and then you're here into the penultimate room, which leads normally into here, where the boss fight takes place. And what I picked up was from previous video by Ryerson55. Thank you very much for some of this stuff, because I don't think I even would have realized this was possible without your video. Is that you can jump up onto this platform and actually jump to here, and even though you see this invisible wall here, your feet kind of like latch on, like they have these big extendable claws that just sort of latch to this floor here through the invisible wall. So you can just stand here. And then you can sort of jump forward and strafe left around this corner. And then you can just sort of run along this wall like this. And that skips the boss fight, which saves quite a bit of time. Because what you actually want to get to is this big blue trigger here. This is the actual end trigger for the level. So when you start routing this, you think, I start over there, where's the end point? It's this. What's the fastest way from point A to point B? And I'm pretty sure at this point that what I just described is the possible fastest way to do this. But who knows? I mean, you still waste a lot of time in this main area. You have to run all the way over there and then run all the way back. If there's some way to just skip all this, that would be a really, really big time saver. But yeah, I guess that's it for this level. So it's time for me to load up I should say level 3, and we'll see all the nice tricks that one has. And here we are again. This is the third level. called Broken Wings in the game, or in the editor it's apparently called Ibn Tulun? Ibntulun. I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation, but at least I tried. So to give a brief sort of overview of this level, you start right here in this sort of alcove, and right beyond this invisible wall is the museum where we left last time. And what we want to do is go ahead and give a brief overview. We start here, and the objective is quite a ways over that way. There's this big arena area over here that we want to get to. That starts a big fight that we have to sit through and to open up the boss, which we then kill to end the level. So a straight line would be very nice to cut through all this, but sadly it isn't really possible. I'll go ahead and start off by mentioning what the previous record did for this level, which I thought was pretty interesting and creative. What he does is he jumps onto this barrel, and then up onto this, and then up onto this air conditioning thing, and then up onto this windowsill, and then he does a sort of really long jump where he sort of runs across this little space right here between these two windows, and then jumps up onto this, jumps up here, jumps up here, jumps up onto this piping, jumps up onto this little thing, jumps up over this invisible wall. You can see they put this very high invisible wall here so that you couldn't get over it, but he was creative enough to climb up on stuff and jump right over it. He runs all the way along here, back through here, back through here, back through here, runs up on top of this debris, jumps onto this little ledge, runs along here, jumps off onto here, down into this area, and that puts you right around here, and I'll show you where this is later on from my route. Now I tried this, and I could not get this anywhere near consistent. Maybe with some more practice I could have, but I realized it didn't really save a ton of time over the route I used, so I basically just said, well, I'll take the hit, you know, because it was too little for me to really worry about. So what I did at first was I jumped on top of this barrel, and I sort of strafed over this wall and then ran this way. But it was sort of inconsistent to get up over this wall from here. So eventually what I found out was you can run around here. I actually did this on accident one day because I wasn't paying attention. I accidentally started running this way. And I realized you could jump over these pallets right here, jump on top of them, and then quickly jump over this wall. And then just jump on top of this, and then jump over this wall and into this next area. Whereas before I'd jump on top of this and then jump over the wall. And around right here you're going to be at like 10 seconds or so, if you did everything right. You run around here, run past this snar. Sometimes a guy will come from over here and stand in front of this doorway and block your path. But as soon as you see him, just press E and you'll sort of teleport to him and kick him out of the way, and then you can just keep running. You don't really lose much time here. Now this big area right here is sort of like a loop. You come out through here, this broken wall, you run through here, around over here, underneath this overpass, around through here, and then back underneath the overpass again to here. Now what I was like, well, that's a big U shape, why don't I just cut straight across it? Wouldn't that be nice? So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out a way to do that. First I thought, well, can I get over this fence somehow? Can I get over this wall? Nars can actually gang up on you and punch you enough to push you over a wall, but it's really inconsistent and it's pretty slow. So I thought the best way would be, well, if I can get up onto this, I can run straight across here and straight into this part, and I'd skip all that. So I tried to find ways to get up to this, and I thought, well, heck, I can't really do it. What if I can get over this big building here? Because if you go straight over this building, there's no invisible walls or anything. You would get straight into the next area, which would skip quite a lot, but there's no way that I could find to get up on top of that final level. Even if you stand on top of this and sort of try to like strafe jump up, is just too high. One really funny thing I found was that you can stand on this little edge of this right here and then face this way, and you can actually hop onto this pole. It's really difficult to do. You can stand right on top of it, and from here you can aim back this way and jump over to like this part up on top of like this. Then you can just keep mashing space and you'll sort of jump over all the way to this and then run around. But that's like that's task level stuff right there, and it's probably like not even that much faster than just going straight and running around. But in any case, eventually you come out through here, you just run straight through all this junk. You have to climb up through this building a little bit. I sort of cut this short, strafe around these stairs, up through this door, through here, and then sort of jump out and onto this car and then straight. And this is where we meet back up with the previous route. So you'd think, well, just running in that straight line over here would be faster, but I don't know. I don't think it actually saves a significant amount of time, maybe like 4 or 5 seconds. Since I do a few little skips on the way here that save time too. In any case, after that part, you just sort of run this way through here, around through here, around, doing this sort of zigzag snake motion. And this is another part where my route differs from the one previously done. In the previous route, he chooses to go through this archway here and into this area. Does a jump up onto this windowsill right here, or I guess you'd call it a window, I don't know what you'd call it, onto that hole. And he jumps up again onto here, jumps over to this, and then jumps up onto this little ledge, and then up and up. And then, I'm not exactly sure, his recording had some issues around this part, but he basically manages to run along these rooftops all the way over to here, runs along this wall, and then into this main area. What I do instead is, let me see if I can figure out where I even was here. This is a really confusing maze of buildings. Instead of going into those arches over here on the left, I turn right here, and I go through this way. I cut straight across these, and I stand on top of this barrel and I shoot the switch, which unlocks a secret over this way. I keep running, and I pull out my sledgehammer somewhere around here, so that I can break these boxes when I get here. And right on the other side of them is this ladder, and you can be standing like over here, and as long as you can see the ladder, you can mash your use key and you'll latch onto it, and it'll get you straight up through this and into this area, in which case you can just run straight over here and into the next area where this final area is. And as far as I can tell, this is another thing that either it's faster just to do it this way and a lot more consistent, or maybe the other way is slightly faster by a second or two, but this way is far and away just the easiest method to do it. You want to sort of run from the doorway over here at an angle to hit this trigger as soon as possible, this corner of it, and that's what starts the final sequence here in this big arena area. You just sort of whack these soldier dudes in here. And then this next part, I'm still not entirely sure about. Cannoneers start spawning, you know, the guys with the purple shirts. They start spawning in, and after you kill a certain number of them, I think, I'm not sure if it's based on a timer or what, you can actually view the scripts in this game. They're just sort of these objects laying around on the map, and you can open them up in an editor, and it'll tell you, see, like this one over on the side, you can't see it, but it says CS _ Walker introduction. Oh, hold on one second. Oops, sorry about the cut here, but I got a little bit interrupted, and I did want to have to re-record this entire part. So what I was saying was that there's basically these script icons that you can access, and they'll open up the script in a little window on the side, and you can basically read the commands in, I think it's Lua or something, some scripting language, and you can basically tell what's going on just through that, and that gives you some hint of how to best and most quickly get through areas like this. But in any case, Cannoneers spawn, and I think after a certain amount you kill, or maybe it's on a timer, kamikazes start spawning. And basically what happens is after you kill all the enemies in that wave, a clear wave spawns. One spawns over here, and then one spawns, oh, let's see if I can remember. Actually, no, one spawns here last. The first one spawns... Wow, I think I've just completely voided this knowledge from my head. Let's see, yeah, one spawns right here, then one spawns over here, and then one spawns over here, then one spawns over here, then one spawns way over here, then one spawns right here. And then after you kill all those, they spawn pretty slowly, so you have time to walk around between each one. You sort of run this way, and one spawns over here, and then Nars start spawning down too. So you start killing the Nars, and you kill the clear as fast as you can, more or less. And once the last one of those is dead, the boss fight starts. And the thing about this is there's a little cutscene, and you want to click to get past it fast. But if you click too much, Sam will enter his attack animation with the hammer as soon as the cutscene ends. And that slows you down since you can't start running right away. You want to start running towards the walker that comes in through here. And basically walk right up in front of it, and then sort of just hold back. And then mash click to attack. And then he'll get to about right around here somewhere, and you just stand in front of him and attack, and he won't move forward anymore. Which actually hurts quite a bit. It does like 50 HP of damage if he runs into you. And one thing I should mention is that about after the first wave of cannoneers and stuff, you can run in here and grab this armor, because you're not going to get hit much after that. And that'll help on the next level. But yeah, after just hammering away at this dude, he'll die, and then the cutscene plays for the end of the level, and you move on to the next one, and we will do the same. So I'll see you in just a few seconds. So here we are, level 4, No Place to Hide, otherwise known as Medina in the editor. Starting right here, and this is one of my favorite levels to play, actually. This is probably the most fun I had. Even though it took forever to find the route, it took an absolutely insane amount of time for me to figure out the route that I eventually had. And what was really funny was then I watched the previous speedrun, and it did almost the exact same thing, which made me laugh that we both came to the same conclusion after however much amount of time. This level is pretty straightforward in the first half. You just run straight here, run through here, and then normally, let's see if I can zoom up a little bit here and you can see how big this level is. You'd run around, here, let me see if I can do it with my mouse. Run from here, under this, around over here, you go through here, go through a whole bunch of nonsense alleys and this and that way, and I don't even know, I haven't played it in so long, the normal way. I mean, you have to go all through like this maze of stuff. You go through here, you have to go through all this. You go through, let's see, through here, I think. There's all these turrets too, these auto turrets shooting at you, that kill you really, really fast. You have to go through here, around here, let's see, through this stuff, I think, yeah, through under here, around here, through all this, around back through here, let's see, oh, and then through here, and you get to here, which is the second half of the level. Now what I do in my speedrun, and what the previous run did basically, more or less, is you jump onto these crates, which is fairly hard to do because the hitbox is really strange. You basically want to come at this from the left side, and jump onto this little part right here, and then you want to jump up again onto the top, and then jump up again onto this wall, and then jump up again onto this wall. You just want to walk here, everything's nice and slow. You turn, and what I do is, because I think it looks really awesome, is I jump on top of these two trees while just holding shift and running forward, and then jump up onto here, then turn and jump up onto here, across here, and then you do some real Assassin's Creed shit where you run across these roofs along this invisible wall up to here, around this wall. You can sort of strafe along this, through here, jump down, jump across here, jump across these roofs, I guess, and then jump across here, run along this invisible wall. And I think there's actually like a speed zone, I'm not sure, where if you run along the left edge, it's slightly faster than the right edge. But in any case, you jump up to this roof, run along here. This jump is fairly difficult to make. You have to jump like right before you hit the edge. Run along these roofs, jump up to here, jump up to here, jump along here. Then you jump down to here, and here we are again. About, 24 seconds later, I guess, as opposed to running through the level normally. It's much, much, much faster. As you run into here, a cutscene plays and it teleports you to this other side, at which point you just want to run out of this area, through here, to this. Now, if I was playing on any difficulty other than Tourist, this would not be possible at all, because it involves running against these auto turrets, which would just murder you instantly, like even on easy. So what I do though, because I'm a tourist, I can just run straight past this auto turret shooting at me, run along this wall, run through here, run along this part with this auto turret shooting me, and then I come out here and then up through this wall. Whereas if you didn't do that, you'd have to do a big like maze basically around and around to hit switches to turn off the turrets. I run through this wall, run straight along here. I should note that if I forget to pick up the armor in the last level that I said was useful on this one, and I have really low life, like less than 50, I'll usually pick up this armor right here, just to make sure I don't die. I run through here, run along this way, past the scorpion dude, which is really funny because if he's standing in your way, he'll actually move out of the way as you run towards him. You run through these ways, you run through this passage here, turn over here, go through here, and there's this big audio turret here which will basically destroy you if you try to just run to the rocket launcher. There's a few things here. Talk about in-level goals now. What you actually need to do in this level is to destroy the boss, and what triggers the boss is, I believe, just sort of running into this trigger. I can't quite remember. That's what actually causes the boss to spawn way over here, this guy right here. And he slowly moves in towards the map, right around here-ish. He comes in towards you. So since he's over here, what you want to do is you want to run back through the map towards this area, but we'll get to that in a second. When you get into this area here, what you want to do is you want to run right past up to this, and this soldier dude will usually be standing around here. Basically start mashing E, and a lot of times you'll melee him and you'll teleport to around right here, and you want to turn off this turret so that you have time to run over here. One of the other end conditions for the level is that you hit this trigger. So what I do is I run through this trigger and grab the rocket launcher and then grab some rockets and then start running back. Same way we came in, run back out this way, back out this way. Here's the guy who's kind and steps out our way. Back through this way, back through here, and then we're in this area where we jump through the wall, and I said to pick up the armor. And at this point the helicopter is usually around right here. You can just shoot him with a few rockets and he goes down. One of the things I should note about the technopolyps, which is what they're called, they have really, really good dodging on higher difficulties. Like, they will just sort of juke a few inches out of the way of your rockets, like, constantly. And it's really hard to hit them, but on tourists, they just don't move at all. So they're extremely easy to take down. And after you defeat him, there's usually some soldiers you want to just blow them up with rockets because you'll have plenty. You don't have to worry about wasting them. Kill all the soldiers in the area so that you don't take any more damage, and then pick up this armor if you didn't earlier. And also there's like a 10 HP health pack somewhere right here. I don't see it, but just trust me, it's there. And then you just wait for the level to end. And usually my times are like 1:47. I haven't been mentioning my times on a lot of these levels, but you can see the times I got in the speedrun video are about optimal on all the levels, so you can just use those as reference. But yeah, that's it for this level. You can be anywhere as soon as you kill the technopolyp. There's like a 5 or 6 second timer after that before the level actually ends, and it doesn't matter where you're standing or what you're doing. So yeah, that's it. See you on the next level. Well, here we are again. This is the 5th level. Under the Iron Cloud, in-game name, and Cairo Town, as it's called in the editor. You start in right around here, and again, this is one of those levels where you make a big U shape, which is very inefficient, and I think when I'm rounding this, well, okay, I need to get back over to that area way over there with all these little gray things. And I start right here, and the route takes me all the way through around over here and around here and through all this stuff, and then around over to this. Around right through here, I think. So I thought, well, if I could just go here, that would be, you know, better. So I spent a lot of my time trying to get through there, and one thing I should note is you see these big gray walls. These aren't actually walls that block you. They're walls for the Harpy AI, as you can see them here, so that they don't like crash into the buildings and get stuck, even though they still do sometimes. So I'll just go ahead and delete that so you can see the map a little bit better. And for a long time I was like, well, how do I get up onto this wall? And if I could, I sort of worked backwards. It's like, well, if I can get on top of this wall, there's there's a building here. It turns invisible. This one right here. You can jump from this onto here and then across. And I got to here, and I got up to, actually you can get all the way up to this building, and I thought, well, I want to jump onto this, because if I can get on this, I can walk all the way across here, and then jump down to here, then jump across some junk here, go through this, and then I'll end up here, which is pretty close to the end of the level. But I couldn't do it. You can't make this jump. There's no way to make this jump here. It's just too high, and it's too far. So I thought, okay, is there any other points that come close? Well, there's this over here. That's pretty close, so let's work backwards. So I thought, okay, well, you work backwards from here, you jump here, jump here, jump here, and oh, look, it looks like you can actually get up there from here. So I thought, okay, well, then from here, can I get to here? And I jumped at this, I jumped at that, and it's like, well, it's too far, I can't get it. But I said, don't worry about that. For now, let's just see if I can get up here somehow. So I spent a whole bunch of time doing all kinds of stuff. None of it worked. Eventually I saw a video on YouTube, and I apologize to the person who made this video. I don't remember who it was, but they showed a skip where you can jump onto this stuff right here, jump up here, jump through this building, and out through this balcony over here. I think it's through this one, to get out behind the map, at which point you can run up this pile of debris over here. And then he showed himself here and then up here, and there was like a cut in the video, and I'm not sure how exactly he did it, because I jumped at this quite a few times and I couldn't pull it off. But I said, well, okay, maybe there's some other way to get up there. So I tried getting up this building, and you can actually climb these types of buildings, this building preset. Let's see, what is it called? Ruined Edge 02. Actually, no, wait, hold on. It's Building 20. Destruction is the name of it in the thing. Actually, it's called just destruction_01.mdl. There's a way to climb this, and the problem is you can see it's it does this in the game too. It sort of turns invisible depending on how you look at it. So I had to work at this like while it was invisible to try to climb it up it. You can go up this and you can sort of climb up here and jump up here and get up onto, let's see if I can show it, onto this level. Run along here, jump to here, jump up this, jump up here, then get on top of the roof. Get up here, you can jump across to here, then you can jump across to here, and then you're home free, you're over here. And I thought, wow, that took a long time. And it turns out just running in a straight line is faster, because you can actually make it from here to here. There's a little invisible platform basically you can stand on right here, and then jump over to this, and then eventually get over there. But it takes an enormous amount of time, even if you do it perfectly. It's just not worth it. So what I actually do for the run is I run just straight ahead, ignore the harpies, ignore everything, running straight ahead here, run around here, still running straight, and we get to this part, which caused me quite a bit of woe, because this is, I think, only like the second, or no, I suppose the third. Well, no, because, yeah, I'm sort of running over myself here, but there's a few tricks in the game, like I mentioned before, that are based on FPS. And how the trick works is that Sam latches onto things and sort of pops himself up based on how high your FPS is. It like scales in some fashion that it makes it easier. So say I'm running the game without recording, I would jump up onto these boxes, jump onto these boxes, aim this way, just sort of run at this, and I would just pop up onto this ledge. No effort, like you'd literally just get it every time, 100 out of 100 times. Except when recording, and depending on your FPS, if it's at 60, you can get this probably like 75% of the time. If it's at 50, it's like maybe a third of the time. If it's any less than that, it's extremely low. It's like a fifth of the time, and then dropping further, it just drops and drops and drops, and jump becomes harder and harder. While recording, a lot of my attempts I got it the first try, even though I was at like 55 FPS. Sadly, on the attempt that actually became the run, I missed it twice before getting it finally. One thing that can happen at this point is this soldier dude right here will see you on top of these boxes and then kick them and break them like a really rude bastard that he is. And then you're just screwed. You would have to start over. But eventually you can make it up here, jump up onto this little ledge. You'd go from here to here, onto this ledge, and then up onto here, and then across this way. And this skips this section where you have to turn off this turret and go up this bridge that breaks down across here, and then over to here, and then straight ahead. Instead, you just go straight from over here, and then straight ahead. Through around over here, under this underpass, and a lot of times you'll get clear boosts here, where clear will hit you from behind and sort of push you forward. A whole bunch of them spawn right around here, and then as you're running up this way, they'll basically walk past you this way, and then push you up from behind. That gives you a little bit of extra boost. All these clear right here. You just run diagonally at this point towards the end of the level, around this corner. I'm pretty sure this is the fastest route. Give a little overhead view here. This is the street where you come up under the overpass around this way, and then since the ending is right here, what I do is I just run diagonally through these buildings like this. I used to just go up and like this, which I'm pretty sure is a lot slower. But at any point, then you enter this final area, and oops, a little bit of lag there. What happens in this area is you see all these gray invisible walls. Those are all for harpies, and also there's some for the player, because these are all ruined buildings. Basically, you can't see them, but that's what's there. If I turned off the editor models, I'll actually show you real fast what that looks like. I can do that in the editor. It shows you what the map actually looks like. But I think the editor models are good for this video. You come in and then you just run straight, because as you hit these triggers here, more and more harpies spawn in. And they spawn in right around this area up here, where this big blue spawn field is. And the trick to getting through this as fast as possible is to kill the harpies as fast as possible, because the quickest way to trigger this big warship which spawns in here, which is actually the boss of the level, is to kill, I think it's 15 harpies, it might be 16. And the way I do that is with the rocket launcher, since they all sort of fly down at you. And on tourists, your rockets don't hurt you, they only hurt enemies, so you can just sort of fire at the ground, and as they fly in, they'll just die instantly, and you'll kill a whole bunch really fast. So anyway, once you've hit that limit, the ship spawns in, and then you just do a normal ship fight with it, which is it moves to random positions, and then it starts opening. It opens its drop bays, I guess you would call them, and then you have to shoot those. And the fastest way I found to do that was just with rockets, and you have to hit it. Each one takes 3 shots before closing, and usually on the first round he'll only open 1 or 2. And you have to do 3 of them, so you basically have to hit it with 9 rockets. So it'll be 2 rounds, as far as I know, no matter what you do. You just kind of have to get lucky with how it decides to move around this big map so that you can actually hit the ports properly. So yeah, that's about it. At some point when you run over here, as soon as you kill enough harpies to get the ship to spawn in, you'll have a little bit of free time to pick up these rockets right here, because that's usually where you'll be, and to move towards the center of the level, so that no matter where he randomly decides to move to, you have an equal opportunity to get over to him and do some damage. So yeah, after you destroy that ship, the ending sequence starts, and a cutscene starts, and that ends the level. So yeah, fairly straightforward at that point. That's it for this level. I'll see you again in a few moments. Well, here we are. This is the halfway point of the run. This is level 6 out of 12. This is the Silent Riddler, or as it's simply called in the editor, Pyramids, which I think is a much better name. You start off down here, and where your goal is all the way on the opposite side of the map, way over here. You want to hit this trigger, which starts a big arena fight, at the end of which the level ends. So there's a lot to talk about on this map, because this is the first map that features the sand whale. The sand whale is a very prominent figure in the speedrun, although if you play the game normally, it'll basically never be a problem, or something you even have to think about. Now, the sand whale is designed to keep you from running basically out just towards the edges of the map, or to skip around the map, and actually skip a lot of this gameplay. Serious Sam is a series known for its very large maps, and I guess they decided that something like this was necessary to allow for map design that didn't have big walls keeping you in, while still keeping you focused on where you want to go, or where they wanted you to go, I should say. A lot of the run used to be based around sand whale evasion, manipulation stuff. However, right before, I'd say less than a week before I released my speedrun of it, I found a trick which lets you skip a lot of those sections, so now it's not nearly as based around that, but it still plays an important part in this level and some others, so I'll go into explaining it. Normally, whenever you start a level with a bunch of sand around, or I shouldn't say when you start, in fact, I'll save this entire segment of conversation for a later video where it'll be more apt. We'll get to that later, but I suppose what I should start with is that anytime you walk onto this sand, the sand whale appears, and I was like, well, in the editor, how does it decide what's safe for you to walk on? Because you look here and it's like, well, I don't see anything, but somehow it knows. And I should mention that when you walk onto the sand, it's not like you die instantly. The sand whale appears an appropriate distance away from you and then comes towards you to sort of warn you and give you time to get back into the appropriate territory. Now, where it actually is right under the surface here. Ooh, see this? Looks like I like some sort of thermal map that exists underneath the map proper. There's this big red area surrounded by like a yellow border and then some green. That extends all the way along this map. And what that is that's the sand whale sort of zoning information. It says where the sand whale should attack and where it shouldn't. Now, I haven't fully figured this out. I'm not like a huge expert on how this works. I've sort of figured out a lot of what I know about the sand whale from experimentation and from watching the previous speedrun of this game. From what I can tell, though, as long as you're in this red, the red equates to safe zone. Like, you can see this big strand of yellow and red over here. The reason that's there is because there's a secret out over here that you have to get, and obviously if you got eaten by the sand whale going over here, you couldn't get the secret. So red represents safe. Yellow represents... Ooh, I'm not really sure. I feel like I used to know this, but I'm not entirely positive anymore. For the sake of like simplicity, you can basically see red is safe and anything else, including black, as you will get eaten and killed. See, there's little interesting things like this red dot, which I guess they just placed randomly over here. If you move up, there's nothing here as far as I know. Yeah. And there's no way to even get over here normally because you'd get eaten before you got anywhere close, so it doesn't matter. But they were kind of sloppy with these maps. As you can see, little dots of yellow inside the red and things like that, because it doesn't really affect things too much. So yeah, that's the sandwheel zone, so that you can sort of look in the editor and see where you can walk and where you can't. Now, if I had to follow those rules, I wouldn't be able to do the speedrun. I would get eaten, and that would be it. On this level, it's not so bad. I don't actually abuse the sandwheel mechanic on this level. I don't do that until later, that I actually use a glitch to prevent it from killing me. On this one, it's actually fairly simple. As long as you get back into a safe zone before the sandwheel gets to you, you're safe. So what I do is I line myself up. I found a slightly faster way that saves 5 seconds, but it's like kind of hard to do. I guess I'll show that off in a second, but I run along this path over here from the start right here. I would just run from the start here straight forward along this over here, and I sort of just angle myself this way along here, along through here to here. And I line myself up with this telephone pole with this pyramid, and I just run straight, and around here I just sort of strafe left a little bit to trigger the sand whale faster. Then I turn around and I run around over to here. I found this was a good point, and I just sit and I wait. And there's this wall is slightly, you can see there's a little bit of yellow there. I think as long as you're in the yellow zone, you're safe, and the sand whale won't kill you. Well, I mean, obviously, because I know I can stand here and he doesn't kill me and I'm not in the red. So yeah. So the sand will pop up, and as soon as he does, you just start running hell bent this way towards this corner. And if you do it right, you'll reach this point around halfway. The sand will appear again and start coming towards you. You just keep running along this wall, and around here he'll pop up again. Then you want to pop out this way, and you want to run along this wall, even though it's like invisible here. And the sand whale sometimes tries to kill you, like right here, but he usually misses. Like, I've never actually had him hit me. You just run along this border of the map. Normally you'd be going through all this stuff, and there's a whole bunch of underground stuff too, but we don't do any of that. Run along here, and this wall is like semi-solid. It's sort of weird. You see that in the speedrun video. You just run along this edge, and the sand whale doesn't attack you. And around here you strafe out and up this way, and then you just jump. Let's see if I can show it. Right around this point right here. You don't want to jump from the top. You want to jump around here straight ahead, and that'll land you on top of this every single time. And you just run straight into the arena. You want to just run. Well, see, normally you would think, well, I start here and I want to trigger this over here as fast as possible, so I want to run in a straight line. Now, that would be good and all, but this area has notoriously bad pathing. The pathing in this area for the AI is absolutely terrible. And also they spawn on either of these two ends of this field. So what you want to do to avoid enemies getting lost and stuck in the terrain and shit like that is you want to be somewhere in the middle, so that, and don't move, because if you move around a lot it confuses our pathing. So you want it to be somewhere around like right in here. That way you can aim to the left, aim to the right, and take out enemies from a distance with your assault rifle. You can just sort of zoom in and pop them from quite a ways off, and use your rocket launcher to take out anything bigger than like soldiers or kamikazes, just because it's faster. Enemies spawn in based on, as far as I can tell, and as far as the previous run mentioned, how fast you kill the cannoneers. So that's usually what I set my priority on, and then if something gets too close, I'll use my rocket launcher to take it out. But yeah, you basically just do that and stand in this area and shoot and shoot and shoot for the life of you. And stuff spawns sort of based on a pattern, but it's not really important. What you need to watch out for is once the 3 big walkers spawn, that's basically the end of the spawning. Everything is spawned that's going to spawn. And as you get close to killing everything, you want to start moving around a little bit and making sure that there's nothing like stuck. Because although this prevents a lot of the sticking and the AI getting lost or just not even being aggressive towards you and weird things like that, it's not foolproof. Sometimes things do get through. And I found that usually I stand around a little bit like on this side of it instead of directly in the center, so a lot of times I'll have things stuck or really slow over here somewhere. So once I start getting near the end of the waves, I start running this way to finish them off. And really it's like, oops, I accidentally clicked something there, but if you get lucky, you can get times around like a low 520 or like less even. I think my fastest time was a 521, and in the actual speedrun that I uploaded, it was like 540. So, but before, when I first started doing this, I would get like 6.5 minutes or something like that. So it's really variable. And this is just the spot I sort of found that gives me the best chance of killing stuff fast. But yeah, that's it. Once you kill all the enemies, there's no boss or anything. The ending cutscene starts a few seconds after you finish off everything, and then you move on to the next level. And since this video is going to be quite long, with these 6 levels, and we're halfway through the game at this point, I'm going to go ahead and end part 1 of this tutorial, I guess you could call it, here. And in part 2 we'll cover the second half of the game. And hopefully it won't be quite as long because I've explained a lot of stuff that I need to get out of the way early on. So I hope you enjoyed, and you'll come back and see part 2. Bye.